Hi there. Yeah, so I'm Michael, originally from the UK, but now I live in Croatia. And I've been here for 6 years down on the Dalmatian coast, and I'm the director for DNA Croatia, which stands for Digital Nomad Association Croatia. And essentially, we're a non-profit organization here to welcome digital nomads to Croatia, as well as to try and stimulate the local ecosystem and to develop the infrastructure and communities in different places around Croatia. Yeah, so I'd say the non-profit was set up over a year ago now, about a year and 4 months, 5 months. But it started a bit before that. It started when a few people, including Jan de Jong, were pushing for a digital nomad visa here in Croatia. We've been welcoming remote workers and freelancers here for many years. It's quite an attractive place. And it got to the point where we needed to look at legalizing this as other countries had done. So then, Jan pushed for Croatia to legalize it. And over the course of 6 months or so, we somehow got it through all the bureaucracy, made it happen. And shortly after that process of getting things moving, it was like, okay, well let's formalize the way that we help the digital nomads coming to Croatia, and let's formalize the way that we can help the different communities here in Croatia. Well, I wouldn't say we're a service as such. Counting numbers, that's something we should really track, because individually, when you think about DNA Croatia on a whole and what we do, so we have obviously people messaging us, emailing us before they come here, asking how do we get the digital nomad visa. And I'd say on average you're looking at maybe 1 or 2 a day normally. Just a few messages on Facebook, on LinkedIn, an email or so. And then you've got all the people that we engage with. So, the different events we do, there's been conferences over the years led by Tanya, who's one of our co-founders. She's run the Digital Nomad in Residence project in Dubrovnik, and also the Digital Nomad Week in Zagreb with the Ambassador campaign. So you have that secondary touch where for that campaign, we had a different person living for a month in Zagreb. And obviously some of them stayed for longer, some of them stayed for a month, and then you have the effect that they have on the community. So in terms of theory of change and impact measurement, it's very hard to say how many have been, say, through us, because at the moment we don't have an official way of counting digital nomads, because it's not the easiest thing to count, right? You've got the ones that come for, say, less than 3 months. You've got the ones coming from the EU who don't have to register anywhere, and then you have the ones that want to stay for more than 3 months who aren't from the EU, and they're the ones that we can really track with the digital nomad visa. I'd say that there are hotspots in Croatia. It's growing, definitely in Split. It's grown. I've been here for 6 years and I've seen it grow year in, year out. I used to run a co-working space where the community was very small in the beginning, but now every event that you see that's for digital nomads, there's always at least 15, 20 people at these small scale events, right? So imagine you have a cafe or a bar that normally sits around 30 to 40 people, and half of those are digital nomads. So that's been great to see. Zagreb as well, being the capital, they've always attracted they've already got a lot of people working remotely anyway, but also then attracting people there. And then Zadar recently with the Digital Nomad Valley has attracted and kind of consolidated what they had already. They already had co-working and people working in this community, but actually developing that a bit further. And I mentioned Dubrovnik earlier, they're pushing forwards with all their plans. So those are the 4 places that have definitely got a community. And then the other places we're working with now, it's about developing those and trying to set up communities there, or establish at least a few people there, which we have, who are for the community, who are going to create events and connect people to locals, for example. Yeah, well, we've seen mobility around the world. We've seen people moving. We've always seen people moving, and when people move, there's always that question of impact on local community, on local environment and stuff, as well as integration and understanding. And when it comes to connecting people who are here to locals, especially people who are looking to stay here longer term, I think that integration is key. And I don't expect full integration after 1 or 2 months. I've been here for 6 years, and I'm fairly integrated. You know, I have half of my friends are international, half of my friends are Croatian. But with these digital nomads, what we don't want to happen is that there's kind of an us and them, a so-called, like, I don't know, look at, you know, there, for example, with cruise ships before in Dubrovnik, it turned into a problem because the numbers of cruise ships that would come and then the number of people. And it was clearly, okay, it's the cruise ships that are causing this. Whereas, as we know, problems have many different parts to them, and we don't want digital nomads to suddenly be seen as creating problems. So by involving them, integrating them into the local community a bit more, they'll still be visible. You know, you can't change the fact that before, when you walked on the Riva, the main promenade in Split in January, you wouldn't hear many foreigners at all. Whereas now you hear, you know, a few more. You can't change that, but what you can change is the way that they're perceived by locals, and to show the benefits that they can bring to a community and to a country, and work with them to make sure that it is a positive impact. And that, you know, you're looking at the negative impacts that we've seen in other places and trying to remove them now, or trying to prevent them now, rather than being reactive in the future. For us, a few ways. First one is obviously just getting involved with any kind of say humanitarian action or charity action, or cleaning beaches, which they're really good at in Zadar. Actually, they do a lot of that, and in Split we've got a few things going on. So Zadar, they've got a beach clean coming up soon, and in Split we've got a social hackathon, and both are engaging locals and digital nomads. So you've got those kind of softer things, and then you have, say, the more detailed things, which is going into schools and universities and sharing a bit of, say, career advice about how you can reach opportunities around the world without having to necessarily be there. And if you think about a lot of the digital nomads we welcome are from the US and the UK. Now, they've most probably found the job in the UK or the US, and now they're traveling with it. But there's no reason for a Croatian not to also find a job, or find not necessarily a job, but work over there, where they can do it remotely if they're in that sector. And I think that's crucial to reversing the brain drain that we see in Croatia. A lot of young people are leaving for opportunities elsewhere, maybe in Germany or Ireland. Now, some jobs you can't do remote for sure, so we don't expect if there's a builder in Croatia that's looking for a larger paycheck, then unfortunately the larger paycheck does exist in Germany. Doesn't mean it's a better way of life, but the larger paycheck is over there. However, with lots of young people, with the new generation, you know, they're very tech savvy. A lot of them are looking into how they can get into tech. So why not share with them how they can actually stay in Croatia and have a good life here, and have the opportunity to be the I don't know, the Pinterest data analyst that they wanted to be, or the video editor for volcanoes and volcano footage. You know, those kind of, they're very specific jobs I just mentioned, but those kind of things that you can't find necessarily in Croatia. I would say predominantly they're all for it. People have their different schedules, their different interests, their different kind of flexibility, but I'd say probably 95% of the nomads that I've met are for doing something with the local community. And I also run a non-profit for young people, and I've already had digital nomads come along and run different things for them, teaching them about storytelling, sharing their travels around the world. Most recently, Stephanie from Tech Timeout came along and talked about, you know, the importance of having a break from tech as well. So they're fully engaged. They're always listening out for those things. When you share them on social media, a lot of people are interested. So yeah, I think it's a very positive reaction. Yeah, again, like being a foreigner here myself, I've never faced any kind of negative when I've tried to do stuff, I've never faced any negativity, and that's been the same with digital nomads. Generally speaking, when you're going to do some, say, beach cleanup or fundraising event or something like that, the people that are getting involved in that are already socially minded. And if you're socially minded, more often than not, you are open-minded to people from different places, different cultures, different religions, and therefore you're united by that common goal of whatever that day is for. Cleaning a beach can be done by anyone, regardless of where they're from. Fundraising can be done by anyone, regardless of where they're from. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff, as well as the reverse kind of locals, generally speaking. And I'm definitely seeing this when I've had friends back to my family in the UK. Love to share culture, love to share facts, information, food, drink, all of that stuff to people that don't know it. And that's also a great thing, because I think, like, when you ask people what is Croatian culture, or what is Dalmatian culture, or what is Slavonian culture, it's very different to what people really think. And same with food and drink. You know, people have a concept as a tourist here when they're here for 3 or 4 days. But if you stay for a few weeks, you start really learning a lot more about the local culture, which, as I said, locals love to share. Next steps are really, we need to consolidate what we've been doing over the last few months. We've had a big push towards kind of having a nationwide reach, connecting with all of these other towns and cities that we want to kind of bring into the digital nomad world, and seeing how they want to, and if they want to, obviously, come into this world. And then it's about kind of having the setup that enables us to do our job to the best we can. We're at the moment, I'm the only person employed by DNA Croatia, and then we've got 3 people on the board, and we've got some amazing volunteers as well. We're about to recruit a community manager. So in April, we should have a community manager on board, and that will be great, because that person will just focus on developing events nationwide, connecting with these kind of superstars that we have around Croatia who are engaging with digital nomads more often than not on a voluntary basis, and keeping that going. That's crucial. That's number one. But then there's also the other side, which is working with the public sector and looking at how they can best reach out, promote and support digital nomads, as well as the private sector, looking at landlords and stuff like that. So there are a lot of next steps, but I'd say consolidating what we've done, keep on pushing with the community, and being perseverant with the public sector, pushing forward. Final tips, I think come here with an open mind and an open heart, and you'll be met with the same thing. We've got loads of we've got our website and social media groups where you can ask any questions and stuff. So dnacroatia.com shares a lot of information with you about destinations, where might be best for you. And also on our social media, I ask every Tuesday actually people for a tip for a digital nomad. And quite often it's about, bringing an extra pair of shoes because you'll be hiking a lot, trying as much food as you can, learning a bit of the language. I think the usual tips for nomads to get involved and to become part of a community. Croatia's a different place. Croatia has a very different culture it's still Mediterranean when you're on the coast, but it's mixed with a bit more Slavic influences and stuff. Be open-minded, and remember you're in Croatia.